Welcome back, everybody, back to my YouTube channel, Traveling Gun. I am Thomas. Today, we're back in Cape Town. Well, at least I am back in Cape Town. This is my second time here. I'm with Tiffany. This is her first time here in Cape Town. Today, we're doing a township tour, and we're here in Langa. Langa is the oldest township here in Cape Town. Langa was originally built in phases in 1925 and officially opened in 1927. It was a part of the South African Urban Act, I believe it was. And what they did was they moved the black Africans out of Cape Town into more segregated areas called townships, and Langa is the oldest one. I'm not going to give away too much information because I'm going to let the tour guide do it, but I'm doing it through Cape Town Township Tours. And hopefully today, you all leave learning more than what you knew before, because I never knew anything about townships until I started doing my research on South Africa and Cape Town specifically. So we're going to get to this tour. Hopefully you enjoy it.
So guys, good morning.
Morning.
In here, that is the last time you say you greet in English, because we're gonna be greeting in Xhosa, because remember, you are in a Xhosa community. So now we're not gonna say morning, we're gonna say molweni. Perfect, molweni. So how you say hello in my language. So basically, let me just start over. So I speak isiXhosa. So basically, I came from the Eastern Cape. So PE, Port Elizabeth side. Not sure if you've traveled to that side. So I arrived here in Cape Town only in 2008. So basically, I came here for better education. So I did my primary school levels in the Eastern Cape, and then my high school here in Cape Town. So also, I come from a village. I'm a village girl, So when I go back to the villages, it's a pity that, my grandfather bought us in our home, but like a tank, Yeah. But then the life in the village, it's more or less like when people, the kind of lifestyle where people, that people live. It's where you go to the river and fetch water. No, not really much tarred road where I come from. So it's that kind of peace. We call that a peaceful place where we come from. So it's more like when we go back to our home, we go for therapy, because at some point we can't afford therapy. So you literally just go home for therapy because it's peaceful, not noisy. We have, I would say, quite plenty of space. So that is how it's different from here. So where I come from, we speak isiXhosa. So in South Africa, we have about 12 official languages. So I speak, one of the languages is Xhosa, which is the language I speak. So basically the people who live in the Eastern Cape, they would speak Xhosa. So for example, if you go to Joburg, like in the city in Joburg. So in Joburg is not, I would say it's not really like Cape Town, because Cape Town, the most dominating languages are Afrikaans, English, and Xhosa. But if you go to Joburg, Xhosa is not important. So because I would say almost everybody around the country, it's more or less like a... So when we walk around here, today you become part of the community. So when you pass people or you see people, we greet each other. So how you say hello to one person, you say molo.
Molo.
M-O-L-O.
Molo.
Yes, that's molo to one. When you say hello to more than one, you say molweni.
Molweni.
Perfect. And as you can hear me, my voice is a bit loud. So I know you guys are soft at times. You say molo, people won't hear you and you will think they're ignoring you. If you say molo, they will say molo back or molweni. Yeah, so that's how it is. So basically with education, yes, everybody has access to education to a point where, even if you're poor, you do get access to go to school. We will just stand here. So, for example, in South Africa, we have what you call NSFAS. It's more like a government. It's National Student Fund. So almost all black kids, they actually apply in that. I'm also a student. I study online. So I study through NSFAS. So I don't have to pay anything, but I have to pay for a registration fee, which I recently pay. It depends on the course that you are doing. So then, but yeah, it also kind of depends on the course that you're doing. But then when it comes to college, when it comes to university, you can apply for the National Student Fund, which is NSFAS. So almost all black kids, they would study through that, whether you go to university, whether you want to be a doctor, anything. Which means that we do have access to education. And then when we speak about primary and high school, so kindergarten, kids, parents have to pay, so it's not so expensive because especially in the townships. But then if you go to like suburbs, white areas, they are quite expensive. But then if you come to like townships, you do get like a kindergarten where you can pay like 300 rand. But then again, remember, if you pay less, the quality is also not nice. Also the environment and a lot more kids and all of that, So then again, when it comes to primary school, so which is from the like when you are 6 up until you are like about 17, 18, up until high school, there's free education, free access to education. So in our community, for example, each and every community does have a primary school and a high school. So it's actually run by the state. So then, for example, in Langa, we have about 5 high schools and 5 primary schools. So then all those are actually run by the state. So all kids have to wear uniform in school and parents don't have to pay anything. Kids get lunch and breakfast in the school. So then again, to show that yes, the quality of education is good, because our kids, they also go to University of Cape Town. They go to like all these good universities. In South Africa today, it's not about the color or where you come from, it's about the grades. And also there are also a lot more scholarships as well. For example, like big companies like Ellen Gray and others, so they do give scholarships, especially for medicine, for architect and all of that. And then, but I would say the challenge is that in the township schools, you get to find 40 kids in one class. So that is where the challenge is. But then again, teachers, they try their best, to do good and to provide good education to the kids. But then again, as a teacher, if you have 40 kids in one class, it's almost impossible to get straight A's from all these kids. So that is where you find out that with these kids, what's going to happen is that the teacher, remember the education system, you as a teacher, you have limited time to teach something, you understand? So now, for example, if you have to teach like a topic, so if 20 or 30 of those kids, they're not understanding, you have to move on with those ones that are understanding. So if you can just imagine how it's affecting the future. Because remember that if there are 20 kids in one class, all kids, they will be, you will be able to understand, they will be able to understand, you'll be able to get, good A's in these kids. But if there are 40, because 40 kids, it's a whole lot of mess, So that's how it is. So then again, but still you find that at somehow there's going to be dropout along the way, because also the unfortunate part is that kids will be pushed, you understand? Like if you pass with 30%, you pass up until last grade in high school, and then again remember, you won't have good marks to go to college or to go to varsity, which means that you're gonna be in the township waiting from the government to provide jobs for you. So that's the unfortunate, with nothing. So which means that you're gonna fall into the group of waiting for the houses from the state, waiting for grant, complaining, protesting and all of that. But then for me, I feel that the solution to this is supposed to be building more schools. Then if there isn't enough space to build schools, because another problem is that with our parents, remember our parents don't really have education. So now even with me, my mom didn't really ask, did you do your homework? Because the minute I say you help me, they don't know. So it's not a matter of kids want to prove it, but then at some point there's a big gap compared to when your parent is educated. So they'll be able to help here and there, because we can't afford to pay for extra lessons. So that's why then you find that if there's a gap at school, at home the gap is not going to be closed, because the parents don't understand the work of the kids.
Each generation will improve.
Yes. Yeah. It will, exactly. So that's why I said, with the problem of our country, generations, it's gonna take generations to kind of solve. So we cannot expect things to be done.
To school and you will understand.
Of course, exactly. So that is what is happening right now. So I'd say education, yes, we do have education, access to education, wait for like long hours. So for example, if you go to a hospital, so you kind of have to wake up if you want to be helped, you don't want to stay the long day, all day there. You have to like wake up as early as 4:30 to 5 a.m. You have to be in that line up until they open at 8. But then again, once you get to the doctor, to the nurse and all of that, well, you're good to go. So that's how it is. All good? Questions?
No.
Okay. So where we are now, this is Little Tori. Back in the days, it was more like Langa. This is really transition, clothing shops and everything. Mainly because our people were only allowed to live here in the community. So now these stores would be, rented by locals. But then again, after we had our democracy, then they started to get ownership of these structures. But then what happens now is that after we had our democracy, the big 7-day flea, or the big investors started to come into our townships to build the 7-day flea market stores. So which means that these people who used to run businesses here in the communities, they run out of business because everybody wants to go to the big 7-day flea market, which is also, I mean, it's a way where you get like, you know, fresher food, more options, variety. But then again, unfortunate part is that these people were not included in the developing, because for me, I say they were supposed to call all these people running this small business to say, we are building this, so we're gonna give you a certain share, or you can still, you know, own a little store and all of that, you understand? So, but then again, it didn't happen. So what happens now is that these people, they run out of business. Their businesses, you can see, I mean, their structures, they look old and all of that. So now, because we have a lot of foreign nationals coming into the country, so when they come here, remember, they come illegally. So they're not employable. They don't have papers to live here. So then, you know, so that is when then you find our people, they rent their stores to the foreign nationals. So almost all of these stores that are open, especially these ones, they are rented by locals to the foreigners. So that is what is happening right here. But then again, we have quite a beautiful development here. We do have an art gallery, which is something that I'm very proud of in our community. So we'll visit there right now. This is the kind of seat that they, you know, when I see this and I think of the president, I'm like, I don't want to be president. I don't want to be president. So basically, welcome to 16 on Lerotori. So this is our first proper art gallery. So Langa is known as the art hub in Cape Town. Art hub. Art hub. A lot more people come from here. They're very good, you know, they're talented in art. So basically, this also used to look like the other, you know, other structures. But then, because you can imagine the investment that's been put in here. So the investment is not just for, you know, a certain group, but it's for the whole community. Because remember, tours come here, or we pass this, so which means that we also, you know, I mean, it's business. And also for the artists who live in the community, some others who are not from here. So it's an opportunity given to the artists, because remember, education is new to our people. So now, if I'm, you know, I go home and I tell my parents that I want to be an artist, they don't understand that. They will like, you want to play with paint? How are you ever going to buy a house? How are you going to be able to feed your children if you're going to be dirty? But then again, remember that not all kids are built the same. Some of the people, they're not good academically, but then again, they're so gifted when it comes to art. So then if we don't have these kind of spaces within our community, then we're gonna be failing. So we will stand here. So this is part of the lower class. So if you remember when I said that men who lived here, they were only given barracks, which they were still controlled. So this is built in a U shape. I'm not sure if you've been to Robben Island.
Yes.
So the structure kinda, you know, reminds, you know, Robben Island. So now all these small buildings on the outside are the bathrooms. In front of each and every bathroom, so this is where 16 men would share. 16 men. Not all of this, yes, like criminals, of course. And also these men who lived here were to be counted every afternoon. So you can imagine the kind of lifestyle. And also counted like they would have to line up outside. The police would line up here. So to count them, yes. To count them, and also even the black police. The challenge about being a police back in those days was more of, you would still live in a township, but then during the day you come here with your colleagues shooting on people, you know, abusing people, being violent on people, but afternoon you have to come back here. You can imagine the kind of life they lived. Wasn't easy, wasn't nice, because also you were not seen as then family in the community. We were a traitor, because you come, imagine if somebody, your neighbor, come here, you know, with police dogs and abuse and arrest you and all of that, but at night they have to come here and wants to enjoy some beer with you. You're not friends with them. You don't want them around you, because you know that they are, you know, traitors and all of that. So most policemen back in those days, after, you know, they would decide, they want to quit their job, because they, you know, you then become like a two-faced, you know, type of person. So then again here, you know, now there are families who live here. So these families who live here, especially after after our democracy, more people started to come. Even before democracy, like in the late 50s, early 60s. So more people were actually brought here in the communities, and the ones in the villages wanted to join their men, like my grandmother and all of them. So when they started to join the men, it became overcrowded. So that's how then people started to build their shacks, the corrugated iron house. So, but then again, right here, when we speak about corruption in the country, this is what we speak about. Because we're supposed to have all of these as museums, not as place where people live. Because if these were built as early as 1923, why do people still live here 100 years down the line? Right. You understand? So then again, remember, our politicians, they live the best life sending their kids to schools outside the country, in Europe. But then voters are here. So living in a shipping container. So as you can feel how hot it is. So imagine if you close this, whether you open or close, you're at work. When you have to come back in the afternoon and cook, how do you cook in here? Because it's already hot, boiling hot. And then in winter, it's cold. One container is for 2 families. It's got 2 doors. It's divided in a half. So whether it's unfortunate part is that other people, they abuse alcohol and all of that. You could be good parents if the neighbors, they're not so good. Shouting, swearing, fighting and all of that. Your kids will see all of that. So that's the unfortunate part about living here. And yet today you will learn that when you don't have money, you don't have choices in life. And maybe you might have complained about a few things. Some people, they complain about where are they gonna park their yacht. With other people, they're not complaining, but they're trying to find ways on how they're gonna live. And yet again, today for us, we might live here. Remember, when you come and live in these kind of conditions, it's only because we know that at least the future is in your hands. You come here in the city, you live in these barracks and the containers, and then again knowing that at least I can travel to University of Cape Town. I can travel to University of Western Cape, which are good universities. Even though, yes, we do have universities in Joburg and all of that, but it's a matter of being in the city, not just in Cape Town. Because if you go to Joburg, a lot of, black people, they live in shacks. They live in these kind of poor conditions. But then because if you are in the city, you're going to be able to change your life. And then again, the challenge about being in townships is that, or living in townships, is that the ball is in your court. It's always up to you what you make out of it. Because access to drugs, access to alcohol, girls being pregnant at a very young age. So it's more or less like you gotta, own your life. You gotta know what you want. So that is how it is around here. So there are a lot more challenges. And yet again, remember that we are also raised by people that were abused by the, by the police, in the apartheid time. So it affected their it affected them, in their mentally. So some of the people, unfortunately, they try to find a way to escape by abusing alcohol. So somehow you can't always blame those people. I know it's not the solution, but then again, you don't know what they've been through. Some of the people were abused, raped, and all those kind of things. So right here, these shipping containers, you might be wondering why, are there satellite dishes everywhere? So after we became, host in 2010, after we became host in 2010, everybody wanted to follow Real Madrid. Ndivile ke sanombala uthi bana ka esikoleni because une eczema. Iright ngoku ne. But ndiyambona ne skin singathi betere. Ayishe man. Uzayamanda esikoleni? Yeah, papa ina ne 2 rand ke sana. 2 rand thenga ipompi ne? Yeah. Thenga ipompi ne? Thenga ipompi. Ngabonisa ipompi. So she's my mom is my friend. So he's got eczema. So so sad because I mean, for example, you live in these conditions. When you have kids, you don't choose skin type for your kids. Right? It's sandy. Kids are going to play in the sand, which is not good for the skin. Right. So now it actually affected his private part. So it was actually healing to a point where he couldn't really walk, So like I was talking about that, because it's sad, that we don't choose to live here. We don't choose to be born here. And then again, people have to live in these conditions and expected to live, like I said, after democracy. We all live together.
No, there are two.
It's two worlds. And unfortunately, in South Africa, it's one country where there's quite a big difference between the rich and poor. And yet again, out there, people, yeah, we're coming to South Africa, democracy, it's good, I'm not complaining. But then again, when you get here, you see the reality. And what I love about the fact that you came to the townships to learn. Because if some people, I mean, unfortunately, they come to South Africa, those people there, those bags, they clean everything.
Sorting.
Yeah. So across the road, there's an old beer hall. So the old beer hall was made also to empower, not to empower, so that people can enjoy their own beer there. It was to a point where people were not allowed to go outside to go to the pubs, and drink, the white people. So now those were built by, that was built by other townships as well, so that people could enjoy their own beer. But in our culture, remember, black people live here. So in our culture, women are not supposed to drink, but brew beer. Yeah. So women brew beer, the beer that we brew. Yeah, brew the beer. Yeah.
Er is niet brouwen.
Yeah, brew. Yeah.
Brouwen moest brouwen.
Oh.
De wind moest dat doen.
Oh yeah. So now.
Easy brewer.
Oh, you.
I'm a beer brewer.
Oh, you're both beer. So you should come here and learn how to brew omelet. And then you have like a new, set of beer in your own. And then I think everybody in Belgium will become famous. We had the South African beer in this. So you have like a whole thing.
It's very small.
Yeah, it's a brand I do, but I brew with a larger brewer.
Oh,
with my own brands.
Oh, that's
own
cool.
marketing.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah. So yeah, women brewed omelet. So if you were to be a Xhosa man, men say no, men don't brew beer. So you only drink beer. Because in our culture, especially like I said, how people, back in, I'd say, it's the way of living back in those days. So it was a matter of, if you're a woman back in those days and you drink, you were seen as like someone who don't have morals, who don't have values. So you could brew beer, because it's more like, if you drink beer, it means that you never have like a safe time as a wife. So a husband can be drunk, but a wife can never be drunk, because you always have to focus to like sing on the kids. They grow up, sick and all of that. But then again, now we adopt the Western lifestyle. We drink wine, blah, blah. But then back in the villages, back at the time, like my grandmother, we used to, make jokes of how she never got drunk. So we're like, you never got drunk, She's like, no, because she grew up at a time where being a woman, for me, I always wish that we can go back to those days, because there were people who had kids with different men, and women were more of, they had values, you loved yourself and all of that, and also the way of dressing as well. No offense, but in our culture, a woman has to cover. So if, let's say, I were to come up like that, my grandma was like, why are you wearing,
I was gonna say
exactly, pull your pants down, you should cover up and all of that, so that's how they would be. But then now, like I said, we adopt the Western style, we dress, they were saying freedom and all of that, So, but then back in those days, you never, do that. So that's why then brewing was for women and drinking was for men. So the beer that they brewed was called umqombothi, so which is a traditional beer. I'm just hoping that they do have umqombothi, so maybe we can taste and taste the difference between your beer and our beer. And yeah, I'll educate you more about the beer. But then again, it's an accommodation, so people live in there. So because what happened is that in the March of 1976, that was demolished, and then students, because remember, people did not get paid through bank. Our people, they were getting paid through envelopes. Sometimes how men can be. They promise a family, when I get paid, we're gonna buy uniform for the kids, we're gonna buy food. Day of the payday, they start there. Money is gone. By the time they get home, it's a big fight. And then students, kids around here, they were like, our parents are fighting because of this. Then they started to demolish it, and then now it was rebuilt again. It's an accommodation. People live in there. So those are the people that are still waiting for houses. Yeah, so that's how it is.
The men here are working also, they have a job, or mostly not?
I would